Right. So, I think I will try to start a bit earlier my stream, right? Because it's a good habit to have as well. Because you can do this in class and have a proper routine. Because my mind is not too great when it's early morning classes anyway, right? And usually it's class, and then I do this to break it up. But yeah, does mean though we're on sort of a stricter timeline, right? Where I got to go when I really have to go. But it's more spoiler cards to go over, and then we might as well take a crack at. We'll probably start with Tough Nut. It does seem like, at the very least, it'll be Tough Nut and Lyeth, but I still definitely want to build Pleiades as well. The problem is, there's just not enough time to tackle all four of them. I suppose I could just workshop something, not great, right? And just rule out the decks, but we have some interesting new stuff like the Guardian Legendary. Curious. Especially because there's no real crush in the set so far, at the very least, right? But we'll start from the top, right? And I will try to remember what is new and what isn't, right? So I think it's mainly the Pleiades cards, right? So like Cries of Encore. When it stacks a hero, if you have less life than them, the crowd cheers you. If you've been cheered this turn, this gets when this hits a hero, you may play an Aura of Suspense from your graveyard this turn. And an Aura of Suspense is essentially any aura that has the suspense keyword, right? So that is pretty nice. Granted, you're not chirping their cost, so it can be quite the expensive turn, but it's also the sort of thing where, you could hold like a pummel for this, and then if your opponent doesn't overblock it and you don't need the pummel, then you could go with the aura. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it works out, and, if there's any significant auras, because the main one for this is definitely the in the palm of your hands, right? Since it's, trigger a draw, get an Arsenal card maybe, stick in the Arsenal, and then as Pleiades, you can take the counter away and then start your next turn with an extra card, right? So it is definitely a strong card in Pleiades, which is, the only person who can use it anyway. Turning points. When this defends, if you have less life than the attacking hero, the crowd cheers. While this is defending, if you've been cheered this turn, it gets +3. So a nice blue 5 block potentially. And only Tough Nut has the on Q. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter because it's Guardian. So you still need some other ways to activate this, and I don't know if we've necessarily seen anything too defensive in terms of cheering, right? Not yet, at least. Everything else has been on the attack, which is interesting because obviously it needs something to trigger a cheer, right? On your opponent's turn, as outside of the charm. That feels old, that feels old, that feels old. A good clean fight. If this is God, the lighting. I gotta check, move my monitor. The glare is not great. If this is attacking a hero, non-equipment cards they own lose and can't gain abilities, right? So that's actually pretty nice to stack on effects because, damage prevention's off the table. What else? If this is an attacking hero, non-equipment cards they own lose and can't gain abilities. That one I don't know. Does it stick around? Like, sorry, I should really explain my thoughts when I have them, right? Ward. Ward is the conundrum here that comes to mind, right? So while this is attacking, because they're cards in the arena, they don't have ward, right? But when it goes to the damage step, is this still attacking or is it resolved? And then they get the ward back. Does that make sense? Other than that, right, just the switch off to some of the stronger effects, because there is a lot of ramping block, right, in this set as well, where if you've accomplished X, the cards have extra block. So there's definitely nice, or even the effects like where this defends, you may pay up to blah, 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 and create tokens. So a good clean fight is definitely a really nice revered action just to well, in its base, right? And then you're throwing something on top of that. Because it does seem like they are all, set up-ish. And I'm very curious, I probably won't build it, but to see the other vein of Tough Nut, right? I feel like 70 to 80% of people are just going to rock around, and then everyone else is maybe going to take him seriously. It's just so difficult, right, as a 3-card hero, because I don't think his ability makes up for it in the same vein as, Data Doll, right? Escalade Order, we did see Renounce Violence, right? Very gorgeous looking card. Very, to me, MTG-esque, right? Like the older stuff. Destroy up to 3 might tokens. Create toughness for each token destroyed this way. Now, it is... do I like this card? There's the glaring problem with this card, which is you have to use it on your turn, right? It devalues the instant because, well, no, I suppose if your opponent's going to destroy your might tokens, then there's rationale to use it. But the idea is you can't use it to generate the toughness straight away because toughness procs at the start of your opponent's turn. So if you were to convert your might to toughness, then it's no good, right? So the steps to this card is a little bit awkward to me, right? You have to generate might. Most likely, if you want the block value straight away, you have to use it on your turn. Otherwise, you basically sacrifice a turn of block, right? Because you lose this card to then get toughness for the next turn. So yeah, it's interesting, but I feel a little awkward, right? Main play around would probably be if your opponent's going to destroy your might tokens. Never give up. Instant, pay 2. Put this on the bottom of your deck. Target defending action card gets +3. This chain link. Activate this only while it's in your graveyard. Defending action card. So you can't use it on something like quick dodge flexes. Plus it's only this chain link anyway. Activate this only while it's in your graveyard and you have less life than each other hero. So it's a 3 block that then gets some repeatable use. But you got to go 3 block, then you can pay, then 3 block, pay, 3 block, pay. And as long as you're pitching a yellow, you're getting the block value out of it, right? If you're pitching a blue, you get that 1 extra resource to do something, which is kind of nice. Definitely, well, I mean, it's great for fatigue, right? You just recycle it. Wait, sorry, I missed the final line. Activate this only if you've been cheered this turn, which is, again, something I'm not seeing, which is ways to cheer on block, right? Hits, hit, hit. I don't think we've had any so far outside of, like, Thespian Charm and Numbskulls, right? The instant cheers, everything else is cheer on your turn. Monster fans, it gets +6 if the crowd has cheered you. No, and the crowd cheers you. So this is something that blocks and cheers, but it's brood only. I mean, he does need the extra block support. We'll have to see. There'll probably be, filler cards, right? I feel like there'd be a whole bunch of rares and commons that hit the crowd cheers you, right? Never give up, fair fight, well, the crowd scene. I think that's half it. Actually, no. The majority of it is just Guardian cards, right? Nothing new for the Reviled, I believe. Nothing new for Brute either. No. The Iron Fist Revelation. When this defends, you may turn a face-down card with a Crush in your arsenal face up. If you do, put a +1 counter on it. I do not like this. It doesn't seem that strong. Especially with New Bravo's ability as well. If he's, the character to take over from Bravo, if Bravo ever does LL, which is, questionable itself, this just doesn't seem that strong, right? You can't heave with it. You need specifically a Crush card in your arsenal to make use of it, and you get 2 pluses out of it. When this defends, you may turn a face-down card with Crush in your arsenal face up. If you do put, no. I mean, it's just a 2-block Gauntlets, but I do feel like Gauntlets of Iron Will is just more significant, and I don't think we've seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure the Majestic Gauntlets, whether it's in the Armory deck or this, deals with suspense counters, and since suspense counters is just a Guardian thing, I think that's significantly better, right? Kind of feels like they're a little bit of a miss, or kind of too niche, which I guess is okay as legendaries, right? You want impactful effects, but that are situational, right? Oh well. No Tall Tales. I feel like we've seen this before, but maybe somewhere else. Tower. Small Tower is very interesting because it seems like Rathe will like Tower, but obviously you can't use the older Tower cards because they get halved and they're big and they're just a waste of resources. So these smaller Tower cards that also have the innate +1 is definitely interesting. Right, so no Tall Tales, if this has power greater than its base, it gets +1. Tower, if this has 13 or more power, it gets when this hits a hero. Cards they own lose and can't gain go again during their next action phase. So the question is, how easy/difficult is it to get to 13 power, right? So as Lyeth, you've got like a +5. Well, think about it that way. 3 is kind of the average, right? For one card. So this is a 3 if it has a buff. And if you're playing 3 more 3s, it's still only then a 12. So it's not quite hitting it. In Pleiades, because she doesn't have the halving, it does work out, right? It's just 3+3s or some version of that where, again, you're pitching into something else. But Yeah, it's definitely something you need to set up for, which is kind of nice that they're in yellow, but maybe they're still kind of a stretch to get to. But they are, decent effects. And the fact that it's just hit as well, it's a significant amount of damage that your opponent probably can't fully block, right? So unlike Crush, it's not just about getting to that threshold, because, like a 9 Crush card, not really 9, right? It's 9 in terms of damage, but in terms of actually landing the effect, it's 5, right? Which is significantly easier to block. So, yeah, I think that's probably the go for me, right? I'll try and build Tower Life because I want to, do setup-y things or aggro life, right? In the palm of your hands, awesome card. Oh, and they've kept with the Guardian instant theme as well. Cut a long story short, if this has greater than space, it gets +1, and then Tower, if it's 13 or more power, it gets when this hits a hero, they discard a card. So, yeah, another big thing just to crank up and land its effect. Then our instant aura block card. So, yeah, God, where did I see it? Someone said it, but the idea there is, Guardian is the defensive class. They can block no matter what, even on their instance, right? So Hungry for More Suspense enters with 2 suspense counters. So everything is always going to be 2 suspense counters. So it's always a 2-turn delay. Well, except for Pleiades, you can, speed it up by 1 turn. Curious if you ever really want to put a counter onto something else, right? And wait. Actually, for juggling in the palms with her instant, I guess it's kind of nice. Is it really that worthwhile, delaying the proc? Probably not. Hungry for More. When this leaves the arena, gain 3 life and only 2 block on it, right? But a 1 cost or a suspense. There's other things, like take an extra turn where you have to have X amount of aura suspense leave, right? So, yeah. I mean, it's decent life gain. 1 for 3. Takes 2 turns to activate, though. Yeah. We'll have to see. Again, depends how much more synergy there is. Although, again, with Pleiades, it's 1 turn to gain the 3 life, right? Turn heads, blue 3 cost. When this leaves the arena, tap target brute hero, so limited dependent, most likely. I suppose it's decent sideboard, but you only have these 2 heroes to hit with it, right? And when this leaves the arena, so it's at the start of your turn. At the start of your turn, there's no priority window. It's at the beginning of your action phase, there is a priority window. So they can't just instant respond to turn heads, right? Tap, and they don't untap during the next end phase, during their next end phase. So you lock them out for 2 turns, which is kind of nice. Art of Glory, Suspense. When this leaves the arena, your next attack gets +6, +6. Oh, that's a typo. This should be yellow, I would assume, right? It should be a +5. So +6, +5, +4. There's a 4 cost setup that takes 2 turns. See, again, this is where it's weird because Lyeths seem above rates and this doesn't, right? Again, 0, 3, 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 6. Plus, you've got the 2-turn delay. Even if you're counting Pleiades as 1-turn delay, that's still generally worth an extra +1. So, not great, right? Maybe because it's an instant with 3 block, that's the ratio that shrinks up the plus. Edge of the seat, similar, lower cost by 1. For 1 less, right? Again, kind of under to me. Same with Tension in the Air. But one thing that's really not... No, never mind. Guardian is missing some 1 card. 1 pitch stuff, right? To smooth out some of their turns. To, make up for like the Seismic Surge generation or something like that. But it's more 2s. Again, I've seen the level of suspense, right? I don't necessarily think it's worth with Pleiades. Because, this doesn't trigger a crowd cheers or anything like that. I think if her ability triggered a crowd cheer, right, that would be incentive to take below rate suspense cards. Again, it's also the idea of, stacking them. Taking 2 turns of setup to land like the tower cards. Anything else new? No generics. No bench slot cards yet? No. Yeah, that's fine. There's, what, 1 more day? We'll check the Fab Reddit as well. See if I've missed anything. Articles, previews. The light's done. Pleiades is basically what's coming out now, right? And there's more to come because that's definitely not enough. And then we have the main event, which I assume is going to be expansion slot cards, right? Good clean fight, scene, Iron Fists. I do want to see what people are saying about this, though. And then everything else is a little bit older. Yeah, that's fun. Another big arms for Guardian, but the feet. I guess there's some use. Still think Gauntlet Surviving Will is probably going to be what you want most. I suppose it's mainly a old Bravo thing. Does what's his face? Dravo. Which also gives Bravo. Get how his ability works. If he turn face up, you may reveal commands. If you do next, no. So that might also be worthwhile. But obviously doesn't work well with flattering. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, it helps with Velda, but I think just having the ability to, like, my game plan is Velda, although I do play aggressively, is just you run through your equipment in the first 2 to 3 turns, right? And then hopefully by then you've got your opponent low enough to just keep beating them down, basically. Anyway, with spoilers out of the way, close all of that, and we can prep. I think we'll start with Tough Nut, right? Because there's a decent chunk of new brute stuff, and wanna beeline somewhat of a yellow-ish deck. Super slim deck prep. Blue. So obviously we gotta build around rock, right? And I suppose the go is to try and work in the gauntlets with a tyrannic. We are brewing, or at least taking a look at, what's currently available for Tough Nuts. If I do Super Slam, we can start off with the new cards. I still don't necessarily know if this is the go. It just feels like he's the easiest to utilize with it, right? I don't know if I want to lean into the defensive stuff. I mean, there's 2 objectives of the deck, right? One is to be able to empty your hand. And then the other is to be able to float 3, right? So if you run in blue, the idea is you just block and Tough Nut. But that is not great, right? Because even though, you get your, what is it, 9 plus 7 value, not great. It's not great when it does nothing. I feel like the new hero is maybe very self-contained in Super Slam. They don't take too many cards. Well, yeah, I do agree. I do somewhat agree, right? There's obviously not enough because it being a 4-hero set. I don't necessarily think there'll be enough cards in the set for that to work out exactly as that. But obviously, you have both Life and KO breaking the moldish, right, of Brute and Guardian, where they have a lot of smaller, very impactful cards, right? And it sort of reshapes whole deck construction, which is great. It's a wonderful time to re-examine what you can do with classes. And then you have someone like Tough Nut here, who you could probably build him as an old Brute, right? It's just whether or not his ability works out better than how Old Brute worked. It probably doesn't because you're just blind pitching, which is worse, right? Or you rock. And if you're rocking, you're probably leaning towards the new stuff since it's all the defensive stuff, right? Which Brute also doesn't only have. Right? So yeah, if you think about it, Tough Nut is a very defensive Brute. New. Pleiades is Bard Brute. New. Right? Or Gimmick Guardian. Sorry, not Brute. Bard Guardian or Gimmick Guardian, depending on how you look at it. So new. KO is small plus Reviled itself is just a whole different trend, right? So small Brute, new. And then you have Lyeth, who is small Guardian, new, right? So yeah, I think that's a fair enough statement that they will majorly utilize the new cards because they are breaking the mold, right? I'm definitely more on board for the Guardians as well. Coming off of my big Velda kick, right, off the Mastery Pack Guardian. But you know, when you're given something like this, you gotta see if it is even half decent. All right, so from the new stuff, again, my mentality goes to like a yellow deck, trying to squeeze out that extra little bit of value, and we still have a decent number of sixes. I suppose that's probably the best place to start, is how many sixes can we still hit with his ability, so that we get the cheer, we get the toughness. Because that's very, very important, right? Because that is a third of the way to making up uh for his lack of cards. Why couldn't toughness be harder to generate and be, all action cards, right? Just the inverse of embodiment. Still. Wind up is fantastic. What else do we have? 5, so it's not good enough. 5, good though. I suppose that's how we should split up. Seems good, and then it seems easy enough to stick in the deck. And I think basically all the yellow 6s are easy enough to stick in the deck. Oh, maybe not this. Probably not that. Swing. I mean, it's charm, and then we can put utility in the inventory slot for now. I mean, to save confusion. Oh, that was the wrong click. Let's just change the headings while we're at it, so I can remember. 6 power. Then we have the inventory, which will be our utility. And then we have our maybe, which will be our kind of just our maybe. Maybe good enough? I mean, I'm kind of just leaving it as maybe. Yeah, just leave it as maybe. Right. And that way we don't get confused too much. So, we might as well look through them properly. I mean, if the crowd's cheered you, defending action cards get +3. That does seem really nice, right? The idea is we just... It's for a really defensive turn, so whenever we see this, it's either a blue pitchable to hold on to, or it's the card that we go, right, we need the extra value. No. It's only situational against big, though, actually, right? Because it's only this chain link. That was ongoing. Never mind. Ooh, not there. I think that's, meh for now. Visit the Boneyard. Vigor's nice. Setting up for the Tough Nuts ability is nice. He needed something like Compass, to be honest. That would have just gone a long way. I mean, obviously they couldn't just print something like Compass 2 decks in a row. But he does. He needs some form of it, right? And I don't think it should be Opt. I think that's too good. But, yeah. I guess Tough Nuts Compass. Utility for now. Reviled only. Nope. West defense, you may power up to 3, create that many toughness. That's kind of nice. We'll take it in yellow since it'll be a 6. Control and agility. So what would we be aiming for? We'd be aiming for... Wait, no, this doesn't work. This is kind of shit for toughness, isn't it? Because all it does is double down on toughness. It doesn't get you toughness for the next turn. And it doesn't count toughness as already procced. I mean, as Tough Nut, the fact that we can just get toughness, I guess, makes this a way to get an extra block. But then do we care enough about the other stuff? Probably not in this style of the deck. Headpiece, yeah. Headpiece that's like him scratching his head and, think hard. Or hard think. Something like that. It seems significant, right? Because the only other way to build this then is to just take all 6s. Granted, you don't need the crouch here, but it activates so many things. There's, again, all those block cards that you really want to activate. You can definitely take a really defensive deck as Tough Nut. No, Sinu's kind of nice, right? You could Sinu, then put a 6 back on top. But we want to rock, so we have to roll the dice. If you control the substance token this turn, that definitely seems... This seems like one of his best cards, right? Where's Defense Clash, though, is kind of awkward. Again, this is something that definitely incentivizes just taking 6s. I mean, there's no reason not to take Kick the Hornet's Nest, or Brutality, or the Dig In. And they're definitely giving him enough yellows. I mean, cheer this turn, this costs 3 less to play is kind of fantastic. Right? Because this into Rock would be really cool. I mean, that's the other thing to sort of look into, if there's any cards like this that are just highly significant. Not that you can fully see it. Oops. Did I put in the deck yet? Yes. Go. Right? Because if you take, like, the wind-ups for agility, this would be fantastic. But it's also a question of how many things can you line up in that sense. I mean, you have enough 2s, I suppose? Not really. I mean, wind-up definitely still seems fitting. Any of the instant discards seem fitting because you can get rid of them actively. Challenge the alpha. Just taken as another yellow 6, I suppose. Because the idea here is... See, this is where gauntlets could have been so much more significant, right? Because ideally, what we'd want to do is be able to go tough nut, put a 6, gauntlets to put more resources. But you have to somehow... Yeah, no, this doesn't work. God. Why are these so awful? Why couldn't these be pitch a 6? As long as so you could go this tough nuts ability, right? So if we go tough nuts ability off of yellow, gauntlets are useless. Because we'd have to clear all our resources. I'm still building yellow. I'm not going to build around the gauntlets. Now the reds are kind of the difficulty. There's some really good stuff. I mean, there's some really good stuff just for Brood in general. I suppose we can stick them in for now. I mean, Escalate seems great. Probably don't need the extra dig in. Yeah. I mean, being able to attack with just something like this, I guess, is kind of similar to being able to rock. But you really want the fatigueness, right? I suppose at the end of the day, again, you have the activeness to be able to just block, clear your hand, and go back into it. I'll stick with it for now. And defended by Reviled card. Nope. It a victory. Leather and Vim. Also easy enough. Stick them in, and then we'll prune. Right? But for instance, right now, this doesn't go well. Because we can't float either, right? Because our lowest is a 2. So the idea to go a 2, blah, 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 swing, doesn't work. Maybe I'm going about this the wrong way. Maybe it should be the anything with go again. But then you still have to work out the best way to float the resources for rock. Which is where the gauntlets can come in handy, because the other option is to attack aggressively, and then be able to go gauntlets, hopefully pitch a yellow or a blue, and float 1. Then be able to tough nut and get the other 2 resources for rock. Maybe as good as this stuff is, we do go down the more aggressive route. If we do brute, yellow, the beat chest stuff is kind of interesting. I don't remember if anything else works. I mean, Blood Rush Bellow seems good, obviously. Breakneck Battery. You really need the draw discard, though. That's what I'm looking for. Draw. Does this work, or do I have to type it out fully? Does work. Problem is, you can't necessarily take too many sixes. I mean, we could also just forego his toughness ability. And then we're just banking on the value of rock. But again, we need ones. Well, no. They're not Bare Fang, but for instance, alright, take Pulping. Always work through a scenario, that's always a better way. Right? If we're in a full yellow deck, then technically we could go Pulping, Gauntlets, Tough Nut, Rock, right? And that would be a 5, but no discard, right? You have to have discarded. Then a +1 into a 8, is it? 13's not bad, and we're being aggressive. Draw and discard a card. If 6 or more is drawn, discard this way, it's going to dominate. Only problem is being in yellow, having difficulty hitting them. I mean, you could still take the reds, but then you're always gambling with Tough Nut's ability. That's where cards like Sinu comes into play. Boneyard. I think, yeah, that might be the thought. So you want a 2 cost and then yellows, right? Oh, God. So 2 costs leads to Tough Nuts and Gauntlets, right? The 1 cost leads to Floating 1, which is then just Tough Nut. 3 cost also works still, right? Because then you go yellow, yellow, Tough Nut, rock, right? So no matter what, it is feasible in a yellow centric deck. We're yellow centric. We can make any cost count, right? It's just whether then it's worthwhile as a 7 plus a 6, which is not necessarily worthwhile unless they're highly significant effects, and not everything is highly significant, right? Because especially as this stuff you have to pay. Oh, God. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to aim for yellow to start off. We still need to go against. I mean, Blood Rush seems useful no matter what. Another random element, I guess. But everything else we're taking is sort of just playable beforehand anyway. Plus, Blood Rush Bellow off of Sinu. Like, Sinu, Blood Rush Bellow is fine. 1 card left in hand. No, because it's a pitch. And that scenario, you'd go Tough Nut, play, discard, draw 2. You wouldn't be able to rock, but you'd hope that your hand makes up for it. I mean, when in doubt, stick everything in a deck and just give it a go. You also use the weapon to draw and discard instead. I mean, it probably works a lot easier with a different weapon. Now we go pulping. What's missing? On ride. Does barraging not draw discard? Ooh. Barraging beatdown is just discard. Is there any scenario where just the discard works? Pitch, discard, your hand's empty. You have to hit a blue off of Tough Nut. So no. You really want the draw discard. But more utility does sort of work. I mean, here we're at 60. So the easiest thing to do now is give it a go. I mean, gauntlets are also a nice way just to activate Smashing Ground. Tunic seems still best. Gets you out of a pickle. I mean, scaling still seems best. Was your opponent in a pickle? What for the legs, though? You care about the action? I guess you just roll the dice for the action point every turn. And just try and high roll. Because it is just going to be a fun, flavorful deck. Alright, let's see. Oh, what's nice? Reckless Stampede, challenge the alpha. Easy enough. Reckless Stampede. Challenge the alpha. Was a yellow? Fine. Private single player. Cool. And we get a feel for the deck and how unoptimally it runs. Alright. So Boneyard's useless. Popping's fine here, though. So, oh God, how do we do this? It would have to go... No, we need the discard. No, that's fine. So we go Pulping, off of the blue. Discards, we draw. No, that doesn't work. We don't want the draw off the discard? How do I get rid of you? I guess we take the Arsenal card. That also doesn't work. You'd also just Tough Nut in this situation and play it. And you could still Gauntlet. Good nature. That's still a 13. Not horrible. The issue now becomes this. Us blocking. Sinu, that's a setup for Tough Nuts. We can play Charm. We get to pitch 2 cards. Which I guess this is just where we want Capskins to come to play. So, I mean, this doesn't seem like an awful turn. Well, blocking aside, right? Blocking seems awful. But the idea here would be to Scabskin. We're encountering issues. Alright, let's try again. Scabskin. This lets us pitch. So we go... Can't discard a random card. I can pitch this into... No, I can't pitch it into Gauntlets. I can just discard it and be upset. Blood Rush has kind of effed us here. Right? Because if we didn't have Blood Rush, it'd be Sinu. We'd want... Well, definitely blue on top. Put them back in any order. I assume we're putting them back in the order. So we'd want... no. Well, Wild Ride's kind of nice. Right? And then we're able to... Tough Nut. Yeah, pitch. Then we have 3. So we'd be able to Tough Nut. Gauntlets. Not Gauntlets. Right? And if we had the extra action point, we'd be able to go 10-7. Which would be kind of cool. Right? Not to mention this then creates 3 more toughnesses. It stacks if you control toughness, yeah. I mean, a 10 into a highly defensive turn isn't awful either. Also have the discard on this. I mean, Blood Rush Bellow works here. Kind of want to play Wild Ride, but I guess we take the gamble. I had a Vigor. That worked out. Capskins. Never good. I guess I guess the other go would be not to scab skin, but to take beaten. And then it's just for the Blood Rush Bellow, and I do apologize. Teleshare should be like that. Well, I suppose you can see that the majority of stuff still zoomed in. What do we do after this turn? So this we can get rid of ourselves. Wild Ride we can also just pitch into. But we also have to think creatively because we have to end on the magic number. We also have the problem of not really being able to go very far with this setup. We definitely need more go-agains. So Agile Windup needs to go in. Maybe we take the lessers. We don't necessarily need the toughness. There's definitely Wild Ride. You can also dig in just to create toughness. That's a way to clear our hand. We definitely don't want Tough Nut first. Actually, if we do this, we go instant, Wild Ride, discard, draw, pitch. Yeah. That's fine. So it's an 8. And then we can float one off of the gauntlets. Hit at least a yellow, and then rock. So an 18. That's kind of nice. It's a pretty shitty Blood Rush turn. In truth, though. Generating 2 toughness. So the other aspect we have to then work in is our ability to block with a card, which sort of means the draw discard. And now the draw discard's fine, just means we end up with nothing. But we'd really much rather a blue. Right? So we could play that. So the idea here would be bend. We get the extra toughness. Go pulping. Hope to hit a 2. Didn't. And feel bad about our life, right? And that's where Tunic would come into play. Ability. I mean, the reds are fine as well because we can discard them when we want. I mean, the other option is to stall, swing, stall, swing, stall, swing, right? Is not bad. Runner. Take the agile wind-ups. Go with cast bones because we are running a hefty amount. And we're kind of solid on the 6 side. Potentially a bit too much going on here. The Numbskull Charm, nice, but it's not great, to be honest, right? It's 1 block, 1 vigor, maybe. That's also not utility. They're swapped around. Any other ways, good ways to create agility? In terms of just sticking with 6 at power attacks, kind of okay. We don't have anything impactful. Time. Gonna have to wrap up soon. Beat chest. Does beat chest work? Problem is we can never really take advantage of a second beat chest, right? Beat chest really needs draw effects. Just discard? Doesn't allow us to float resources. Because what we really want to get is play 2 cost, pitch a yellow. Draw discard, or nothing, right? So that's even. Other card goes into gauntlets, floating a resource to then tough nut. So in that scenario, we don't want the 3s, unless it's something like this that's free. With crowd goes wild, we'd have to toughen up first, which then doesn't allow us to pitch into rock, unfortunately. I think 6 power 2 costs is what we want. And we want to just capitalize on the gauntlets and scab skins and just make it a really gimmicky deck. Because then we can take some good stuff. The idea is just hopefully something disruptive, rock. Something disruptive, rock. I think that's not a bad idea. Then anything that's higher cost is something that we just need to be able to get rid of. Would we want to pay for this? If we paid for this, we're keeping nothing. We're just taking a Arsenal card, essentially. That's the only scenario where I think digging works. And even then, it's not great. Because it's not a significant amount of block on our current turn. Digging can go. 2 cost, fine. 2 cost, fine. 2 cost, fine. 2 cost, fine. 2, 2, 2, 3. Fine, but discardable. Technically free. 2 costs. I guess. 3 costs, but ambush. Ugh. 3 costs, but ambush. Feels more like a sideboard thing, right? Because you really have to win the clash against it. 2 cost, fine. 3 cost, instant. Yeah, I think this is what we want. We want at least yellow, 2 costs. Big Hide Hunter. Back to defend, discard a random card. Don't get anything out of it, though. For the big tree. God. Suppose it's a big block. And it's a yellow. Wrecker Romps. We can't any more blues, but at the same time, we're happy with yellows. For the most part. It does get a little bit awkward with the amount of reds we have. And then I guess we just stockpile more reds, like Command and Conquer, anything that actually is matterful. Or we move away and we do 5s. We don't have to hit Tough Nuts ability. No, but Gauntlets require 6 as well, so we really have to stay in 6s. Guess it'll have to be 3 costs. Then just not to be played till later when the deck is more consistent for pitching. Because 3 costs is not the end of the world, right? 3 costs pitch 2. Tough Nut. Don't think wages, great. Do we have enough discard for Beast Within? I suppose we can find it fairly well, right? I mean, Bam Bam, at the very least, we can just get it out of our hand. Maybe it should be the Beachess, set up agility for the following turn. Or Y on the Scab Skin. I just wish they were cheaper. Why are they so expensive? I guess these go back in, right? We just don't have enough cards. 49 plus 15. No, never mind. We do have enough cards. In fact, we are 3 over. So what would we want to get rid of? Probably the Thick-Eyed Hunter? I don't like how many reds we have, though. Try this as this, and then I gotta go. Play a few hands. See how it feels. And at the very least, it's a starting point. So pulping is what we'd want to play. It's the only issue with scout skins. It's weird, but it feels like they both, Guardian and Brute, needed a better set of legendary legs. Not a better set, because Scabskins is nice, and then we have access to a bunch of decent block. But Guardian definitely needed legendary legs. Brute would have needed a different set of legendary legs, something a bit more useful. I missed the opportunity to discard this too. I guess the play should have been... No, because I end up with a card that I don't care about. Because it's float 1, so I could most likely rock. I didn't need Scabskins either. What am I doing? That. No, because I don't want to float resources. So it's that. Off of that. But then I have to get lucky, so I really need the blue. Yes! They have not released all the cards yet, so there's the hope of Majestic cards to salvage things, right? I'm pretty sure there was Majestic Guardian Gauntlets as well, that I like more than the Legendary. And then also just all the filler pieces, but they can only print, yellow 6s to an extent for Brute. Otherwise things get a little bit dicey across the board. What is this? If you've been cheered this turn, this gets go again. So this is nice, right? Because draws allows us to toughen up first. Makes it awkward to rock, but is our go again. The idea here would be to toughen up. We hit a 6, which is beautiful. We can gauntlets. Still has 2 costs, which makes it awkward, but not as awkward. Because we can go Jaws of Victory. And then, I guess, smash with a big rock. Now, 1 resource wasted is a little bit awkward. Plus the Vigor would be nice. Now, this is a very awkward hand. I suppose in an awkward hand like this, block out, right? But ideally, it'd have to be the same thing. We go Tough Nut. We hit a 2. We can go Jaws of Victory. Arsenal card. And then the go again is kind of useless. Ooh, I had the resources. Right? And we're just trying to get to a big turn. This is going to be so awkward when you have to give cards to block. There's the Blood Rush. Don't want a Tunic, because we want Tunic to salvage our rock. So, unfortunately, it's Scabskins first, where we finally hit enough. We go Blood Rush. Off the Thick Eye, doesn't matter, we're discarding both. Draw 2. I can Crane and Agility, I can pitch into that, float 1, and then Tough Nut. If I hit correctly, I can Gauntlets, right? And that's fine. We go Ability. Go Strength. 10. And Tough Nut. We hit a 3, which just allows us to rock. I could give it the +1, but I think you always want to keep Tunic to salvage. But again, it's a Blood Rush turn. 19 is not great. Okay, but it's not great. I feel. We have the agility for the next turn, which is a bit nicer. So escalate order. Not enough resources, though. Definitely need to cut out some of the reds. We can never really capitalize with the toughness. I mean, this does allow us to pitch twice, actually. So we should be able to hit something here. Cheer and pitch. Yeah, beautiful. So that's a 3. So escalate order floats 1. And it's the same sort of scenario where we go escalate order. We get a whole bunch of toughness. We tough nut, see what we get. It's a 4. That's a pickle. Can't gauntlets, but it's fine. We can discard this. And then rock. Not a great turn either. I mean, I guess maybe it's something like hold the Numbskull Charm to get a better turn off following it. We can control what we pitch, which is nice. So either way, it should definitely start off with a song. Problem is the blue. We can get to 3. So technically I can still run a rock. I guess is fine. And then we have Numbskull Charm for the next turn, which is nice. I guess that's fine. What do I want more? Barraging. Right? And then we go runner off of the song. Then we go Tunic, Tough Nuts, Rock. Again, it's okay. It's not fantastic though. Or if we had some way to get Arsenal cards, right? That would also help. Now this feels like a setup turn, so really we should have blocked with the barraging, and our turn should just be cast bones, Arsenal that, right? Then we have the double pitchables for our following turn with the might. Is it correcter to empty the hand first or to pitch first? I guess pitch. Here and pitch. 2. Wild Ride is the guaranteed go again. 11. Then we can Tough Nuts. 2. Escalate is still probably better, right? And then it's just hold the pulping. That's not a bad turn either. But again, the problem is we're not blocking. So we will just end up losing. I mean, the other scenarios we can, double pitch into stuff like, no, because we had the bigger. Well, actually, that was fine because we had Beast Within. And then we can, no, we can't double pitch into the next one either. I can probably get away without Scab Skins as well because we're not using it as much. But, no, because what we can do is pulping, pitch, hopefully it doesn't get blocked out. Gauntlets, Tough Nuts, 1 resource short. That's not horrendous. I mean, we'll look at the rates. I mean, the numbers 3 card wise is kind of cool, right? 20, 17, 15, and 19. And then even on the lower end, it's still decent-ish, except for the bad turn. I mean, it's not horrible, but it probably isn't great. Oh, well, I gotta leave there. There you go, Skadoodle. I'll mull over it more, tinker with the deck, and see what we can figure out. But we will leave it there for today. Anyone hanging around, watching posts? Thanks as always.